All right. Hello, Pisces, and welcome, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to get started a little bit early today. There was a lot of information coming through, and I was ready, so I hope you guys are too. Again, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We're going to be taking a look at all the energy that's going to help you go through the next 6 to 8 weeks. And this morning, one of the things that I saw was literally in my dreams this morning before I got up, that you were basically at a crossroads, almost like this gigantic superhighway in the sky, trying to pick a direction. So today, I'm hopefully here to help you pick a direction, figure out some of the roadblocks that may be ahead, and navigate with a sense of clarity and confidence. That's what this is all about. That's why we show up. So we'll begin with those channel messages first, then we'll get into the Celtic Cross. As I just alluded to, all of those channel messages for me typically come from a combination of dreams and meditation. Most of them came from dreams today. And it's not always just about a particular symbol in nature. Lately, a lot of these have just been channeled messages or scenes or vignettes. So we'll talk about it as such. Let me get this presentation set up. And as I do this, I want to kind of remind you, you can always use this for your sun, rising, moon, or Venus. We'll go into sun, rising, and moon a little bit later. So do stick around for that. All right, so here we go, folks. Again, good to see everybody. The first thing that I was picking up on was this sort of discerning energy of deciding if it's worth fighting for something. There's a fight that's worth fighting, and sometimes there's just energetic exchange that ends up exhausting you. So there's a message around that first. A new calling and a new timeline. These are some other things, and this kind of leaves us on that road, picking new directions, basically. So the first thing was, it was really interesting. I just woke up in the middle of the night and I saw what was basically a scene of just fighting for the sake of fighting. And neither side was really making much progress, like a lot of expended energy, casualties, resources. And to me, this is a reminder that sometimes it's better to move in a different direction. So there were a bunch of cards that came to mind as I did this. I featured the Eight of Cups because what's good with the Eight of Cups is you don't have to make a do or die decision right now. What it encourages you to do is to step away, to get some research, get some perspective, get some rest, and come back informed, come back to the table with a feeling of why am I doing this exactly? And so that's first piece of advice, is to just get that perspective that you may be lacking or that you may not always be allowed to do. And so this is your chance for that. Okay. Avoid unnecessary conflict. If you don't need to have a difficult negotiation or conversation about something, focus your energy on something else. There's a lot better sort of investments waiting for you energetically. Use facts and figures when and if you do need to have a difficult conversation. It's harder to push back when you actually have it in black and white, or when you have more people coming forward and saying, yeah, I agree, or yeah, this is an issue. So get support, get facts and figures, have your research ready. That'll help you. Eight of Pentacles, all the fine print. And then many of you are just ready to move on to something else. Sometimes we need that last little bit of aggravation to help us take that high road and go in a different direction, okay? So really ask yourself, is it worth it, before you engage in an argument or dispute or fight for something where you're not seeing any movement in it, okay? Next piece. So I was watching as there was a person in the middle of the road. Again, no cars, no people, and there was this sense of openness, opportunity, but also loneliness or kind of confusion, like which way to go. So one thing to remember here is that we all began as sort of connection to source energy. We kind of then went off in our own splintered sort of energies, but as we went in these sort of lifetimes, we've always had everything that it takes. We had everything that it took when we were all part of collective, and energetically we're born into families. We have a parent or two, we have siblings sometimes, we have relationships, but at our core, we're self-reliant. You can take care of yourself. And this is sort of reconnecting to that independence. I featured temperance here because the next step of the journey is one step at a time, and sometimes you need to test the water, which is really what temperance does well, and make sure that you feel good about what you're doing before you take that leap of faith. Because if you don't feel that sense of, yeah, this is what I want, then sit for a second more and figure out what you do want. This is a moment where, because the scene was devoid of brother, sister, mother, father, partner, child, it's basically saying, what do you want? What are you doing? What's the next exit on this road? Okay? Slow down and listen to that inner call, and it will lead you in the right direction. The compass is here, it's your heart. And nobody can tell you what to do. All I can do is sort of remind you that you should be listening to your heart. We'll take a look at what some of the exits might be when I pull up the Celtic Cross, but that's the first message there. All right, so timelines have shifted. This is basically giving yourself credit to change your mind or to do something in a time that fits better. So I really love this Seven of Pentacles. It actually inspired me to use this deck today, the Sun and Moon Tarot. So this person is sort of creating these circles in the sand. And sometimes what we do when we create an arbitrary deadline, it's like one of those circles in the sand. We don't really need it, but for some reason, we're like, but I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it. But just like a circle or a line in the sand, you can wipe it out and create another one. So I was shown a clock that had basically no hands on it. So the time, basically the time is up to you. What you feel is right, what you see is right. So focus on doing things right the first time. Focus on doing things in the time and way that you want them to be. And if there's an arbitrary deadline kind of put onto you by parents and society, this happens a lot. By this age, you should be doing this. Well, when I was your age, I did this. That's you, that's not me. And so really, again, a lot of inner focus coming forth for you today, Pisces, and follow your heart. Being water, this makes a lot of sense. And I'm hoping to kind of help you navigate all of that today. All right, good to see everybody, by the way. So glad you could make it. Please make sure, if you haven't done this already before we get into the reading, hit that like and subscribe. Sometimes I go live a little bit early like I did today. If you're part of that notification group, you're going to see it. So make sure that you opt into all notifications so you never miss something. All right, let's give the cards a shuffle and let's begin. As I said, you can always use this for Sun, Rising, Moon, Venus, or any aspect of your chart. And a little bit later, we're going to take a look at the Sun, Rising, and Moon messages as well. Apollo is at the groomers today, so we're not going to see him. He'll look beautiful, though, for the weekend collective. All right. All right, let's get started, folks. We're going to begin with catalyst energy first. And the catalyst, just like it says, it helps you create some action and movement in your life. I love this. Okay, so let's look at it in the upright position first. And what we have here is the grizzly bear. It says, you are indestructible. You're going to honor your intuition and go where it leads. Love and gentleness are your true strengths. You're not going to give up. You're going to succeed. I like all of that. The main thing here that I see is this indestructible energy and, of course, the word power. In one of my favorite decks, the Wildwood Tarot, this card is, this animal rather, it's on 3 different main cards. It's the Queen of Pentacles, I think, and it's also on the Judgment card. So to me, it does represent kind of like taking care of yourself, taking care of the mama bear or papa bear energy, taking care of your family, but also it's a guardian. So if there's something that is important to you, this is the fight that's worth fighting. If it is protecting yourself, the people that you love, or the sort of life that you've built, this can include your business and your finances and your money. The bear is coming through and saying, yeah, I'm okay with getting grumpy about that, with fighting for that. But the bear also knows when to hibernate and take care of itself. So conserving resources and spending them when it makes sense. There is a sort of frugal energy with the bear that's kind of cool. And that's why when there's a bear market, things are kind of pulling back, things get more conservative. So there may be areas of your life where you need to conserve a little bit, and that'll give you the energy to be bullish in other areas and see growth and movement, okay? So this is really, if we were to put it in financial terms, it's going to be a lot more like the Six of Pentacles, weighing the options, but energetically and sort of totemically, it's cooler to see a big grizzly bear for that too. And then the Judgment card, again, deciding if you're in or if you're out. All of those things apply here. All right, let's take a look just at the overarching Celtic Cross. Again, this is going to help you through the next 6 to 8 weeks. And as we look at all of this, let's just see what the energy is leading us. I always like to look at these two first. So there's a big opportunity knocking. It does look like there's also this, like the blindfolds are taken off and you're able to see through something that was maybe too good to be true and see something that you really should be focusing on. So I appreciate that. The only tricky card is the Seven of Swords. Everything else is good. Here's your third eye opening way up and helping you avoid something. That's why you need to slow down a little bit. We did get Temperance here as well. Most of the cards, very light, very bright. Many cards showing power, intuition, and I like what I see. So let's just do one card at a time and walk through the month at hand. So again, we're looking, of course, at June. And your first card as we're looking at June is the High Priestess. So you are pretty plugged in, pretty tuned into what's coming through. I kind of like the way she is almost like a gatekeeper here between those two pillars, and we see something beautiful on the other side. So a reminder here, we always create our own destiny. We create our own sort of narrative. I like to sort of think of you as the writer, producer, director of your life, right? So what are you producing, writing, and directing next? What do you want to edit or cut? Because you can do that just like a writer or director. So this is a moment to really own your power. So if I had to sum up this month so far, the first thing is own your power, trust your instincts, and let the floodgates kind of go, because there's some great energy coming through. You came through right on top of this card exactly the way I'd want to see you. Queen of Cups, that's you, Pisces, and you're upright, standing tall. I love it. So this is going to be a great month for love, for creativity, for sort of setting things in motion, for being in charge. It's great. Okay. So far, so good. I like what I see. If you've been looking for love, or if you've been looking for a time to share something or make an impact, the Queen of Cups is telling you, you have the power, you have the wherewithal. What are you hesitating for, right? Let's look at deep past. This is the one thing that has come through a couple times. When I was reading for Aquarius, we got the Knight of Swords in reverse. So the King of Swords is a little different. Knight of Swords is saying, I'm going to slow down and rethink a path. The King of Swords is saying, someone stopped me with what they said, or I'm being overly critical on myself or my path, and that's creating some friction in my path. So take things in stride and realize that if you're doing things right, there's always going to be someone that has an opinion. There's always someone who thinks they can do it better. There's always a naysayer in the group. Take a look at the overarching sort of consensus. If it's mostly supportive, if you feel good about it, then keep pushing forward, forge onward. And try not to be a perfectionist. Try not to take too much criticism to heart. Instead, decide what you're going to do with that. Is it valid? Is it just cruel? Is it a waste of your time and energy? We talked about this earlier. There are some things that aren't worth the battle. So one thing I try not to do on social media is engage with people that are just kind of trolling, or that we just put that in the spam folder. It's not worth it. It really isn't worth the amount. We have finite amount of time on this planet. How long is unique to each of us, but I don't want to spend time engaging with energy that just pulls me down. So I advise sort of you to kind of think about it too. Think of it as an investment. You wouldn't put money in the bank if you lost it, right? Like say you put $1 in the bank and you only got 75 cents back. That's a bad investment. And you want to make sure that you're getting at least what you put in back, if not more, okay? Looking at your recent past, this is a call to you to sort of own your empowerment. It reminds you that wisdom and age are not mutually exclusive. Like they're not one and the same. So sometimes you have an older person that acts a fool. Sometimes you have a very young person that's an old soul. And that's what we've captured in this card here. We have like a young emperor. This is a month where at any age you have the wisdom and ability to do something. Don't let someone tell you you're too young or too old. Wisdom, again, is in here and it's in here. And you have this sort of ancient wisdom from a past life or from this lifetime, and it's just saying, don't forget about this. Let's do this. The Emperor card in general is basically saying if you want to get something done, maybe it is something where you have to do this. We have the bees on this card and a little lamb in front. So the bees, you have a chance to kind of create movement and buzz around something in your life. They are pollinators. They are cooperative workers. And they have a queen or a king in this case. So we need clear leadership so that the little bees know what to do. So there may be some worker bees around you that are looking for clear leadership. And that's the symbol on this. Same thing with a lamb, another word for someone that follows. So you're the leader, but look at how relaxed this leader is. This isn't someone who has to constantly remind people that they're a leader. And this isn't someone who is uncomfortable with the leadership. They're just like, okay, I'll do this. Let's do this. We can make this happen. And it looks pretty fun to me. There can be this sort of joy in realizing that you have what it takes. So I hope you can feel that energy. Okay. If you meet someone, by the way, because we have a card that can represent love. I don't read solely for love, but when this comes through, I will talk about it. Queen of Cups, showing your heart being more open for partnerships, love, and friendships. This can be someone where their age and the way that they act, it doesn't always make sense. So someone that's older than someone that you would normally connect with, but they have this youthful, sort of joyful energy, or someone that's really young and very mature, and there's something that's drawing you to it. I like that, the sort of unexpected combination that we're seeing with this, okay? So be on the outlook for that and try to stay open when you meet someone. We have the Hermit card here representing where your head's at, and it's reversed here. So the card, not your head, hopefully not your head. So the Hermit in reverse is basically saying it's time to come out of your shell. Notice how she is carrying an old-fashioned sort of hourglass. I had to think of that soap opera that talks about as sands through the hourglass. So anyway, we have the hourglass here, which is saying you can reset the hourglass. You can say, all right, we're done with that. Let's start something new. So there's that little bit of a reset. And it's also saying at a certain point, you've spent enough time researching, learning, and doing introspective work. Let's see what else I want to talk about with this. Oh, with the Hermit, there's also people that may be like knocking on your door and wanting to talk to you because of your wisdom. So people may also they're more inclined to interview you, or they want to read what you have to say. They may be looking through things that you've said or done. Your record may be examined right now. So far, so good, because King of Swords, Emperor, and the Hermit, they're all really good cards for power, for authority. A couple of these are reversed, but you still have a chance to really make a good splash. It's a good month to interview. It's a good month to go out on a date. You have this great sort of people skill energy, and also just you're magnetic. We don't need the lovers all the time in here to be magnetic. We do have the sun. That's just as good, actually. In many decks, including this one, it is a lover's sort of theme. But one step at a time, let's talk about what is knocking, and it's opportunity. Ace of Pentacles in the upright position. And there's a lot to love about that. This can represent a seed of hope or a vision or a project that you want to put out into the world, and it's auspiciously placed in the spread. This is the time. It's a reminder. A lot of different decks, you'll see it as a seed or as an egg. You need to invest and nurture and protect this. So protect your intellectual property. This is super important right now because we have the Seven of Swords, and this can be people acting in a way that's not great. So if there's something that you care about, get the legal protections, whether that's making sure that your copyright's being respected, getting additional non-disclosure protection, or other things contractually that's going to make sure that this is taken care of. Trademarks, patents, etc. Protect it. There's something here worth protecting. And then invest in something. There's something worth seeing growth in. And I like to always use the analogy of flowers. It takes time for things to grow. It takes time for things to bloom. I recently added to my collection a beautiful cactus, a prickly pear cactus, but it only blooms once a year. And so all year long, you've got to wait. But once it comes through, it's so worth the blossom, isn't it? Look at that. So part of the reason that I love flowers is they teach us the importance of patience. So sometimes things only happen, once a year or once in a lifetime, but whatever this is, it looks good, and treat it like that. You're right on the precipice of having something grow. Time-wise, this can be now, if this is a 1, it's an ace. So it can be now, it can be 1 month from now or 1 year from now, but it's imminent. It's not more than a year. This is something either in a day, a week, a month, or a year. You're going to start to see some movement and growth, and you want to act now on this, okay? All right, so I like that. By the way, I only read love when it comes through. That's one thing you can count on in my readings, unless I title it love. And maybe I'll do a bonus love reading next week or something. But this is unforced and organic, and that's the way I like to read. We have a sun card that shows lovers. We have the Queen of Cups connected to love. We have the Ace of Pentacles, which can be an offer in love. Ace of Cups can also mean love, but this is someone who's really interested. So I like that. I like this combination. Let's look at this lover-themed, let's look at this lover-themed card here. So we have the sun. The sun represents you. The sun was in reverse. So some of you may not see your own beauty, charm, allure, magnetic nature, and someone else does, and they're approaching. And so what you have to think about is this what I want? Is this good enough for me? And don't doubt your own self-worth. That's the one thing that I want to take out of the equation. That person, you're good enough for that person, but are they good enough for you? You attracted them. So it's really that question that you should be looking at. Is this congruent with, is this aligned with where I want to be emotionally, goal-wise, et cetera, et cetera. That's the only doubt, or the only question. Not even doubt, it's a question. But the sun card is great. It's also usually young energy. So we have 2 cards here that are showing, again, this can be someone who is a young person in an older person's body, or it's an old soul in a younger person's body. So I'm seeing age and experience, but they belie each other. They don't look the way you thought they would look. I will say the sun is a really cool energy if you're going to find love. It's someone who kind of sweeps you off your feet, or you get an extra heart, love dub. You feel this sort of nervousness that you wouldn't otherwise. Chemistry is definitely there. If it isn't, you can't fake it. I talked to Aquarius about this, and I got the message more for Aquarius, but since you're on the heels of the Aquarian reading, I'll mention it with you too. But a couple days ago, I got a dream where I saw someone that was just going through the motions, and I felt like it was a second or third date, and I could tell. I didn't need to pull cards. I'm like, they're not interested. This is just friendship. Why are they spinning their wheels? You got a much different sort of collection of cards here. So I'm going to kind of flip it, and I would say if you feel the connection, and you rarely feel a connection, then you should really go for it and see where that leads, okay? A couple of notes with the 7 of Swords that we'll talk about in a moment. We'll go much deeper in love when I look at love, but so far, I like what I'm seeing, okay? Well, for those of you that are already in a loving relationship, that can represent your partner and a chance to get a little closer to them. For those of you that have children, your children are coming to the forefront. For those of you that want to have a child, this is pregnancy, and it's pretty good. Or if you're trying to get an adoption or something like that, this comes through as great. Divine masculine energy, very strong spirit that wants to come forth, which I like. Okay? Lots of ways you can interpret it based on your life situation, what you're trying to bring forth. That's how energy works. It's what you want to invest in. It's how you work with it. You're like a potter. All right, looking in the environment, we have temperance reversed. Patience was something that I talked about in the channel messages. A reminder that as you stand on the precipice of a new path in your road, a new fork in your road, all the temperance angels asking you to do is to dip your feet in the water and say, does this feel right? Is the temperature right? It's like taking a pulse check. Do I like where I'm at? Don't rush if you don't. Really kind of evaluate what you want if you're unhappy with it. Temperance reversed is just going to waste time if you kind of because if you rush through something without considering all the outcomes or all the forks in the road, you end up kind of doubling back and saying, oh, I forgot about this. I forgot about that. So just slow it down. That is very much in alignment with my reading yesterday. So always cool to see connections between the different signs. One of the things that's happening right now is this can represent a lot of different things, the Chariot. So the Chariot can be control. It can also be fighting. Think of like gladiators and things like that. So what we see here is, again, is it worth the fight? Does the fight bring me in the right direction? Who's running the ship? Who's pulling the reins to this? And I talked about areas to be like the bear market and then the bull market. So conserving your energy so that you can fight for things that matter. And I think here you're fighting for control, authority, and independence. That's really, to me, what the Chariot represents. And this is where the bull is, or the ox, but whatever, it's close enough. So this is where you can be a little bit more bullish on your energy, your future, and that's where you want to put the extra oomph when it comes to, okay, yeah, I'll fight for this. I'll fight for control. I'll fight for my voice. I'll fight for a say in the matter. Okay? This is the card that can present a block. Everything else has been pretty darn good here. I would say with the Hermit, you should trust your research. You should trust your instinct. This is a highly intuitive card, right on par with the High Priestess. And so the Hermit is basically an advanced, intuitive, and a learned sort of individual. So trust in what you're seeing. Excuse me. If you don't, it can lead to some challenges. So on the horizon, we have a reversed Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords can represent someone trying to get away with something. It can also represent a secret that's no longer a secret. So we're seeing that you're either able to see someone's true motives, which is a good thing, or there's a secret that comes out and you have to deal with that information. Let me take a drink and we'll figure out how you can sort this out. I think it'll help to quickly look at the traditional card on this one, and then we'll compare and contrast. But I have a couple thoughts as I'm getting this. The first thought is everything comes out for a reason, and the timeline that it came out in was also cosmically sort of like presented to you. So this is the time that you were meant to deal with certain things. The Seven of Swords reverse can also just be the universe saying, be real with yourself. If you say you want to do something, are you truly ready to commit? Because as I'm pulling this card, I'll let you look at the table, because this card is really asking you to be all in. You're either all in or you're not. Let's look at the traditional Seven of Swords, and then we'll look at this new one, and then we'll move on to the expanded portion. So you can look at this in two different ways. One is cutting your losses. So this person can be just escaping from a situation where they're like, I'm done with that. I've learned everything that I need. I know I can't fix it. Let's move on. And they're cutting their losses. It can be someone that tried to get away with something but didn't. And it can also just be about accountability. What we rarely see, unless you look in the background, is you see these people back here? They're too busy focusing on other things to see this individual. Like, it's such a small detail. So you really want to make sure that you're not engaged in that unnecessary fight that I talked about earlier, so you can keep your eyes on everything else that's going on. You need that bird's eye view, like a hawk or like an eagle, and that's actually what the Destiny card was. So I want you to get an eagle eye view, bird's eye view of things, so you can see this, because it might be going on not right here, but like on the horizon or over there, and it's important for you to be aware of this. Ultimately, all of the swords cards in this deck have clouds in them, which is basically saying they can cloud your view, but also sometimes it's just thoughts. So we're not going to invest too much energy in people that haven't acted the way that they should have. It's actually a sign and a signal for you to maybe move away from that. So when I talked about cutting your losses, this person can also just be tired of that and they're saying, I'm going to move on. Okay. So different things for different people out there, depending on your life situation. But because it's reversed, because it's in the outcome, it's telling me that you're going to prioritize this over this, and you're not going to let this get in the way, and you're not going to let some sort of a distraction take this out of your frame of reference either. So you're fully tuned in. Trust what you're seeing, trust what you're hearing, deal with something, even if it's challenging, in real time. And this is going to allow you to move up, to move on, to move out of that situation. All right, now we're going to expand the forecast and look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. We always like to start first with health. A reminder, I'm looking at energy. I'm looking at your intuition here and helping you sort of tap into that. But if you have anything going on with your body, with your emotional self, or with your finances, work with the appropriate advisor for those. Now, looking at the energy of health, though, here's what we've got. This reminds me a lot of a Queen of Wands when I see it. Peaceful warrior, Archangel Ariel coming through, and it's about standing your ground. I love it, with peace. So there are some great leaders out there that just are like even public figures that have the ability to just say no without having to like yell it or get like hot and sweaty or anything. They're like, nope, we're not going to do that. An example, but she wasn't super peaceful. If we could take, well, she was just really good at speaking it. But let's just look at the actress Meryl Streep. When she channeled like Devil Wears Prada, when she said no in that movie, you knew that. But she didn't have to scream stuff. She just said it softly. So there's power in delivery. There was nothing else to like about Miranda for the most part. She was a highly complicated, but not a super likable character until maybe the very end. As an actress, we can look at Meryl Streep and we can see some of her roles, and she's able to deliver things in a way that she doesn't have to yell to show that she has power. Glenn Close can do it too. There's just a lot of strength in delivery. God rest her soul. Tina Turner, when she sang, she also had that. So it's about delivery of the energy, not causing a ruckus. And you can simply say no. No, and look at the person and then focus on something else. And that's it. Power in delivery. That's what we're looking at here. Okay? And peace. This is the main thing here. We're not looking for, and I saw that. I really want something that is the antithesis of the war that I was looking at in my head. The war could also be like 5 of Wands, unnecessary competition. It could be 7 of Swords, trying to steal or take something, and the conflict is arising because of that. There's a lot of things that can create the war. You're going to step in and say, 1, I see you. 2, it's wrong. And 3, it's going to stop right here, right now. And that's it. And if you need to get support, you can get it, but you're just going to stand your ground. All right? So beautiful energy. She's not bothered. You don't need to be bothered either, because she knows what she's going to do, and she knows that her words are going to have an impact. Love it. Words are not powerful unless you believe them. Magic only works when you believe it. Words are only impactful when there's emotion and delivery behind it. This is why, if you've ever watched some of those like commercials where the acting is poor and it's sort of like, you can tell that they don't like the product or believe in it because the delivery is flat. I love this product because it's amazing, isn't it? You know, like there's no sense, it's clear that it's not true. So you don't want to kind of have a flat delivery. Really make sure that you're connected to it. All right, let's look at the other cards here and see what else is coming through for health and well-being. All right. Again, I want to kind of underline the 7 of Swords, and it's basically just a wake-up call saying you can make change, but only when you're truly committed to it. So the accountability also is within one's own mind and body, so make sure that you're ready. This card can have to do, like I said, with pregnancy, birthing. It is reversed, so there could be unexpected pregnancies, maybe early or delays in it. So check on that. If you are trying to conceive, or if you just have questions about this, I'm not a doctor, but obviously go to a doctor, an OBGYN, and see what's going on there. I don't see anything to worry about. Just basically, you want to be on top of that to make sure that you're prepared, okay? There were no other issues with the cards here. Let me see if there's anything else that we want to focus on here. So the Hermit card in reverse can actually say, for some of you, you've been inside too long, or you've been in the office too much. It's time to get out in the world at large. The Emperor card tends to sit too much. So do the kings, so do the queens. So again, you have to work with your health professional, and so is the Chariot. These are all seated. Everything's seated except for the Sun. Even the Sun typically is a little baby on a horse. We need to get our feet, legs, and body moving, again, health permitting, but there's a lot of ways to do that, whether it's swimming or walking. It doesn't have to be high impact, but I'd like to see a little bit more movement energetically, because that's going to move the energy too. Physical movement will move the energy, I should say. So let's see if there's anything else that we need to focus on. It's actually, that's about it. I would say for most of you here, if you want to make a change in your life, if you believe in it truly, you're going to start to see that movement. So it's just about committing and believing in yourself, and we start to see things moving in the right direction. Maybe a little bit more hydration. That's the only other thing that's coming up here, but most of the health energy seems to be around emotion, emotional health, emotional stability. Okay, let's focus now on wealth. We have Ul here coming through with focus. Whenever there's an archer, it's really about making sure that before you let go of that arrow, you're sure that you're putting your energy, your time, and your focus in the right thing. So with wealth, it might also represent like a 7 of Cups moment where your head and your energy is in too many directions. So it's saying, let's take one of those and really focus on it right now. When you focus, great things can happen. You might surprise yourself at your wisdom and experience. You may also impress others, and they may be interested in investing in you, hiring you, taking whatever it is that you've developed and disseminating that. So some really good things with wealth. Let's focus on this and maybe look at 3 different life areas. I think if you're, let's say, either a student or at the beginning phase of your working career, one of the big frustrations is wanting to be more in charge. Had I known, there was no one in my family that really had their own company, so it took me a long time to kind of make my own business or be my own boss. You can do it at any age if you want to do it, and if you're going to invest in how much work it requires. It sounds great, but the truth of the matter is I work every day. So I like what I do and it doesn't feel like work, but sometimes I get tired, but there's no one else it's me that shows up. So you have to rely on yourself. So what I see here is the skills, the power, but there has to be the realistic POV that it's going to take some time, point of view that you have to really put your time and energy into this. For some of you, it also feels like there's a lot of creativity. The High Priestess isn't a natural artist, actually. So is the Queen of Cups. But you may not have a chance. There could be a lot of competition. There could be people that are trying to take your art and make it commercial or do something with that. You have to see if that fits your mold as well. For those of you in the middle of your career, there could be a new job on the horizon. Make sure that you get everything in writing and it feels right, and you read the fine print. 7 of Swords is them trying to get away with not putting something in the contract or whatever. Again, I talked about last week, there was an experience I had with a company where thankfully I said no, using them for a certain part of my business. But one thing that they kept doing was adding things on. They're like, oh, you'd like that? That's going to be extra. I said, no, it's not. We talked about it in the first conversation. And I pulled up the email. And they weren't used to someone being fact-based. I was like, no, we'll just stop right now. And I'm going to have a good think about this because, all of this is wrong and you're trying to add extra bottom line, all these little, it's like nickeling and diming things when you shouldn't. So really make sure that you get all of the information and look at the contract and don't rush. They wanted me to keep signing and doing stuff. And I just finally said, no, we're done now. We're done. So don't get pushed. This happens when you buy a car or a house sometimes too. There's a lot of pressure, you're sweaty, you're already nervous. Slow down and really make sure that you understand this, because once you're invested, okay? So especially for new jobs or if you're going to invest in a big ticket item. For those of you that are retired, there's a calling to have a lot more fun here. The Sun card is the inner child that wants to come out and play. It's you hanging out with like-minded individuals. And at any age, this card is coming and knocking and saying, don't forget about me. Including, this is also in the health card too. So health and wealth, you should feel that playful nature. You should feel like your coworkers are more in the energy of the Sun, where it's, we're having fun working together, okay? Ultimately, I like what I see aside from this, which can represent a little wrinkle in the contract. Sometimes you have to be the mama or papa bear and just say no. People are surprised. Here's the interesting thing. Just because you're spiritual doesn't mean that you're a pushover. It doesn't mean that you're not paying attention to details. It doesn't mean that you can't stand up for yourself. Quite the reverse. It oftentimes means that you can see through what they're trying to put in front of you, and they're surprised when you call them out on it. So you can do it in what? A peaceful way. Say, actually, we already discussed this. You might have forgotten. Actually, this isn't right. And pay attention to every time you have to correct. That's the one thing that I'll say. If it's that much work at the beginning, just imagine long term, whether it's a relationship, a job, or something different, you shouldn't have to push that hard at the beginning. It shouldn't be that much work. Now, we say that in labor is a lot of work, and it's typically worth having a baby, but it's got to be that. You have to really want the baby that you're bringing forth, right? So same thing, we're looking at labor here. It's a different type of labor. Working is a type of labor. So is it worth the energy? Is it worth the push? Are you getting something back in return? All right? Nice metaphor. I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're birthing something right now. You want to make sure that it's worth it. All right, let me see if there's anything else here. The main thing here that I see is this tug of war here with the Chariot card again. Do you have the freedom to do what you want to do? Can you speak up? Can you express yourself? If not, what are you going to do about that? All right, let's now move on to love and relationships. All right, I like to read this first as the broad sort of energy here, romantic, platonic, friends, and family. So this card was reversed. Let me go ahead and take a drink and then we'll talk about it. But it says door to personal healing and happiness. Must drink. Hold on. Okay. Personal healing and happiness. Here's the thing. You can't force this door to open. So when this card is in the reverse state, it can represent a desire to... How can I best state this? Just because you apologize doesn't mean the other person has to accept it, and vice versa. Just because you've forgiven someone doesn't mean that they've forgiven you. And just because you want to make it better doesn't mean that they want to. All you have to do, though, energetically, karmically, on a soul level, is to hold the door open and say, when you're ready, I'm ready, and I'm in a good space now. But you can't force them through the door. That's not how forgiveness works. That's not how unconditional love works. So do your part, hold space for things to be healed and to be better, and realize that's more than enough. That's more than most. But you can't pull the person in and force healing to happen. It's not a healing intervention, not like that. You can keep trying. You should. You should all, keep trying, keep the door open. But you can't make them do things. You can't make them feel. You can't force them into that energy. So that's a really powerful message, isn't it? For all relationships in your life. Hold space, keep an open heart, occasionally outstretch your arm, not all the time. You don't want to be too aggressive about trying to get forgiveness. It just doesn't work that way. And then in time, if it's meant to be, it will be. One thing that I'll say for those of you that have loved and lost and you're dealing with someone in spirit, the journey continues. You can still connect with them. And here's the cool thing. Now you can talk and they will listen. So don't abuse that. But if you have things to say and you could never say it when they're alive, you can say it now that they're in spirit. And in many ways, it's more profound because they have to listen. So the sort of, if you didn't get a chance and you tried, you could just say, I'm really frustrated. I tried. I love you. And I got to move on now. And you will help clear the karma. They will hear it, and still their soul is working. They'll either take it or not, and now you can move forward, okay? But the conversation, even if it's just one way, because not everybody has the same clairaudient skills to pick up on it, but know that they're listening. They'll come in dreams, or you'll feel it in your heart. You don't have to hear it anymore. And that's one of the gifts, actually, of this, is that just say it, let it go, move on. All right, let's move into what I like to look at here, those in a relationship, looking for love, or single and happy. If you're already in a relationship, it's kind of, you guys know how to read each other. That can be really good. It can also be like, how does this person know me so well? Instinct, past lives. This sun card can represent a past life. The interesting thing that I get here is, for those of you that have loved someone before in another lifetime, the thing to kind of like break free from karmically here is parent and child. I know that sounds weird, but there was a lifetime where you were maybe a caretaker or teacher and student or something like that. Because we have the Emperor and the Sun here, and both of them, I'm getting the kid energy coming through this adult. And so there was a lifetime where maybe younger sibling, child, or a student, And in this lifetime, you're just equals and you just love each other, and it's a different kind of love. So you don't have to, again, you can't tell them what to do. And it might be the hardest thing. One person wants to be the boss of the other one, and you're both bosses. The Emperor and the Chariot, they're both boss energies, or the Emperor and the Queen of Cups, both bosses. So you have to kind of like see it as king and queen. Like you reign together and you have equal energy. And that's going to help you out on so many things this lifetime, because then you're not going to take on karma. You're not going to force things. You're not going to argue or fight unnecessarily. In existing relationships, there can be a birth coming in, a new child, there could be a new job, there could be something really exciting. The Ace of Pentacles and the Sun, it's good news, folks. That's good stuff. It's going to take a moment to get your feet on the ground. It's going to take a moment to decide what to do next. Good news is still change energy. It's still like, it's like a positive tower or the World card. And so it requires this sort of recalibration. As long as there are no secrets, as long as there is transparency, there will be growth. If there are secrets, it causes friction. It's not good, obviously. So be honest. They already see whatever it is that's being hidden. Better to just talk about it in the light of day. All right? For those of you looking for love, yes, you can find love. There's no hesitation for me. We've got the Queen of Cups, we have the Ace of Pentacles, we have the Sun card. It's a deep karmic relationship. I talked about the nature of the karma. There's a little bit of a power struggle that's coming through. So just acknowledge that you're both powerful. It's easier said than done, right? But that's kind of the answer here, is that you're both powerful, you're both talented, you both can bring something to the equation. So that would be my advice on that, is to just sort of, and again, even this card was reversed. So just kind of give room and space for that person to be just as powerful and just as connected as you. All right, let's now see what else is coming through in this if you're looking for love. I would say the only thing that I'm focusing on here is that you have to get sort of out of your traditional shell, whatever it is that you're doing, to be able to meet this person. So the Hermit in reverse is basically encouraging you to say yes to invitations, yes to activities, to put yourself out there, maybe a little bit more than you're used to. It will behoove you. It will be worth the time and energy. Could be a little bit of, the word that came to mind is commuting. So I don't know if there's a long distance relationship, or if one of you spends a lot of time like in cars or trains or planes or something, but that is something to also deal with. All right, finally, for those of you that are single and happy, what's opening up? A lot of development when it comes just to yourself, like personal development. This is a rebirthing energy. So the Sun and the Ace of Pentacles, you might be turning a new page in your life. Maybe you went back to school. This can be getting an advanced degree, the Hermit, and applying that to something new. So going back to school, personal growth, research, personal development, definitely very strong in those areas. For some of you, there's something that you learned about yourself that you're trying to come to terms with. And it's never too young. You're never too young or never too old to speak your truth or live your truth. And that's the message there. You're not going to be alone in this part of the journey. There may be a small part of the road, which is what I saw, where there's nobody, but not for long. New friendship, new partnership, even if you're not looking for love, new love could come through. And it'll be natural and easy when and if it does. But overall, I see a lot of development, possibly a new job, maybe some new money, some good stuff coming through if you're not focusing on relationships. So there's that. All right, let's focus on your destiny card. We had the eagle. The eagle was reversed. The eagle is a reminder to keep an eye on what's important, keep an eye on what matters. The eagle has a good chance of getting what it wants. In reverse, it might say that the important thing for you to do is to take a couple steps back, retrace your trail, and just think, did I get everything done that I said I was going to get done? Did I miss anything? Maybe while I was focusing on all the crazy, activities going on, like we saw in this card, back here is someone else doing something. So you want to course correct as needed. And that's basically what the eagle is bringing forth. But it's a good card. You're seeing things clear, just like the High Priestess. So two of the most visually competent cards that I could pull came through for you. So I'm feeling good about that. Okay, let's go ahead now and take a look at Sun, Rising, and Moon specific messages and see what the universe has to say. Again, this is for Pisces, sun, rising, and moon. Sun, rising, moon. Okay. We'll begin with Pisces sun. We have the 9 of Wands, and the 9 of Wands is in the reverse state. The cool thing with the 9 of Wands is this person typically gets what they want. This is a card where kind of like it's a cat with 9 lives, or it's the Energizer Bunny, or it's basically something that won't give up. Here we have a very different vision of or version of the bandage. It's just more of a headband. But the 9 of Wands is either tired, but still fighting, or like this one, someone who's really emboldened. So I do kind of like their choice on what they put on this. So it was reversed, and it's reminding you, take care of your body, take care of your mind especially. What can happen with the traditional illustration here is sometimes you can have a stress headache, a migraine. Your thoughts can be kind of fixated on something that doesn't really kind of bring you the concentration or focus that you need. Here's the traditional card. We can see the bandage right there on the head. So the one area where things can get a little bit tricky it's basically mental happiness, emotional stability, all of that. So talk to a therapist, get enough rest, get enough sleep, take care of yourself. Without emotional health, the body it doesn't matter. This is the most important piece, and we overlook it so much. We go to the gym, we go to the doctor, but therapy is not as widely available as it should be, because it's one of the tenets of good health. So if you need it, get it. And otherwise, stress management is really key. So just make sure that you have outlets for stress. The other area on this card, it's not illustrated on this one, but sometimes you'll even see strain on the arms. So be careful if you're doing any manual labor. Sometimes this can also be like carpal tunnel. So for those of you that are typing too much, or again are lifting a lot, be careful there. So it's usually the arms and the head when I pull the 9 of Wands, and it's pushing too much. If you are getting more physically active after a period of inactivity, pushing too much can be a strain anywhere in the body. So I talked a few weeks ago about a physical therapist that I'm no longer going to, because they pushed me so much that I had a slight tear in my calf muscle. It was fine. It healed after a day and a half. But had I kept going, it would have been much worse. And I'm like, no, don't push me. When I say I'm done, I'm done. Sometimes personal trainers will do that. So when I say lean on a professional, yes, but also trust yourself. Because sometimes they're just looking at their phone and, come on, keep, do this, do that. They're not tapping into where your energy is. So enough with that. I will say this, if you want to get something done, you can push and you can get it done. It's a very stubborn card, and it's very good for getting through to the finish line. All right, moving to rising messages. Prince of Swords in the upright position. This is basically saying if something needs to be said, you should say it. This is the time. If you need to get something done, you're going to see expedience with this. The Knight of Swords or Prince of Swords is one of the fastest moving cards in all of the court cards that I could pull and all of the minor arcana. It's like faster than light. So sometimes you just have to think it, say it, and things start to happen. It's also underlining the importance of your speech, and also underlining how quickly the word can be spread. So if there's something you shouldn't say, the word's going to get out there. If there's something that you weren't ready for people to know, probably they're going to know. So just make sure that it's fast. Communication is faster than usual. Maybe not faster than light, but faster than usual. So really weigh your words. Otherwise, it's a great time to make up for lost time. Okay? Not much to say negatively about that card. It's a very positive card. The Moon messages for Pisces here. We have the 4 of Cups. Recalibration. If we look at this, you can see that cup just in the background behind her. So sometimes we focus on the 4 of Cups, on what's in front of us. Usually the 3 cups are, they've fallen over. So it can be, that didn't work out the way I wanted. These people are saying things about me. The 3 cups can be gossip. It can also just be how much time you spent. You're comparing yourself to someone else. Meanwhile, the universe is offering you another ace. And it's saying, how about this though? Or how about the blessing of whatever it is that you have that you're not seeing? So a hidden blessing, counting your blessings, and not fixating on what didn't work. Focusing on what you want to make and change in your life, what you can control, and what's in front of you. All the blessings in front of you. So it's a recalibration. But I always like to remind folks there is a hidden ace. If we just take all of that off, this is an Ace of Cups. And we have luxury here, which is saying things should be getting better or moving towards that positive energy. Okay? All right. Let's get ready for the next portion. What we're going to do next is a meditation. The meditation will help us clear our thoughts and energy, and we can focus on one final card at the end. Before we do all of that, a quick reminder to please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and opt into the bell for notifications. Whenever I look at the analytics, a lot of times up to 60% of the people that watch have not subscribed. And that boggles my mind. It doesn't cost anything. So if you've already subscribed, much gratitude to you. If you haven't, please do it. It helps. You can also give me a quick follow on social media if you'd like to. It's Nicholas Ashbaugh everywhere. You can get more information on my website or the About tab here. I don't offer private readings, so if anybody offers one, it's not me. Block, report them, and let me know about it. All right, with all of that being said, let's get into the meditation. I'd like to work with the solar energy that came through today. And all the sunflowers that we see. This is such a beautiful card. So if you wouldn't mind, please stick with me for the next 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll take a look at that question that you have for me. First things first, close your eyes. Just take a deep breath and tune into your body. If there's any place where you're feeling discomfort or any thoughts that are kind of bouncing around your head, just imagine that you're breathing in the blue sky above you and you're creating space in your mind, in your body, and your energy. So a deep breath, seeing that blue energy coming into your body. It's soothing, it's open, and if there's any clouds, any thoughts, anything that you don't want, imagine that you could push them out into the great beyond so that there's nothing around you but blue sky. Nice deep breath, inhale. Peacefully exhale, slowly exhale. Can continue to do that. Take as many deep breaths as you need to while I'm sort of setting up the meditation. If you don't mind, please imagine yourself also in a field of sunflowers. They can be any size, like the mammoth sunflowers. They can be small ones if you would like, but just see these beautiful sunflowers all around you. If you do happen to be around the mammoth ones, the ones that reach up almost as big as the sun, imagine that you can kind of see them moving back and forth, and then they fixate on the position of the sun because they're heliotropic. So once they've done that, like a satellite dish, they're locking in. Imagine that all of these little satellite dishes are bringing in the solar energy, and we already created that beautiful blue, sort of blue sky energy connected with the throat. Now imagine that we're bringing in the energy of the solar plexus. So this lovely yellowish, orangish energy starts to wrap around your body, and it's bringing you a sense of warmth, power, and purpose. And as you allow this warm sunlight to basically permeate all your cells of your body, mind, body, and spirit, feel this sense of clarity. What is it that you want to do next? And if you are feeling lost or if you're feeling confused, just let the sun cut through that and allow for each breath that you take to give you a simple thought, which is a powerful thought: I will be okay. You can also just think this: I am powerful, I am ready, I am capable. Okay? Breathe, focus, and then we'll take a look at the final card in just a moment. Take one last deep inhale, and on the next natural exhale, I'd like you to open your eyes. See yourself back in your body. Focus on the question that I've yet to answer. Whatever it is that you have some questions about, whatever it is that you want some clarity on, hold that in your mind, hold that in your heart. let's shuffle the cards now and see what the final question is and the final answer. We got the Tower in reversed. The Tower in reverse doesn't bother me. To me, this is kind of like the energy of what you would expect if you went surfing. So this is you seeing a wave, like at the ocean, but a wave of change, and you decide to engage with it. You may also see something on the horizon coming. We see the Eye of Ra or Horus there, and it's basically saying, rather than wait for the wave to come to me, I'm going to get ahead of it and ride it so that it's not splashing on top of me. So this is saying there's a necessary change, there's a necessary shift, and you're going to steer it. You're going to help it happen, take ownership of it, and thrive because of it. There will be no wipeout. You're going to go right underneath that. I've never surfed in my life, but you know, right underneath that, and you're going to harness the power of change. So don't fear change. Don't fear the Reaper, right? Like that song. It's just part of life. Change is part of life. Change is a necessary piece to growth. If we don't change, we can't grow. Sometimes I have to get a plant a bigger pot so that it can grow. Otherwise, it's stuck in the same space and it won't progress. So for some of you, it's just like that. You're just going to transplant yourself into something bigger, right? I love this new place versus I try to forget about the last one that was like I was only there for 6 weeks. But this is great compared to a couple years ago when I had all the construction. So sometimes we just need a bigger place. It took me 2 hops to find the one, but much, much better. So you can find the right space, the right relationship, the right job, whatever it is that you're looking for. A change is on the horizon and it's a good one and you're aware of it and you're going to make the most of it. And that's what I see with the Tower. If you don't have the focus, because that was one of the messages today, if you can't concentrate on something, it may not be the right time. If emotionally you're not peaceful or at ease about something, might not be the right time. If you don't have the big sort of bird's eye view of something, just slow it down a little bit to make sure that all those pieces are together. And then you have an empowered tower rather than just a tower. Okay? That, my friends, is everything for today. Always one of my favorite readings because I'm just feeling like my third eye is completely open by the time I get to Pisces. I'm going to do something special. We have a holiday on Monday here in the States, and either Monday or Tuesday I'll do an extra reading because we also have like 3 extra days in this month and we got through everything, which is good. So I will probably throw it out to members to decide what they want me to do next week, and keep an eye on that. In the meantime, I'll be back on Sunday. We'll be looking at, of course, the next 7 days. And then next week, next Thursday and Friday, we'll kick off and be looking at July. How is that even possible? But yeah, we'll be looking at the next month. All right. In the meantime, I'd like to say thank you to everybody, whether it's your first time here or you've been following me for 8.5 years. Thank you to all the folks out there. I'm going to start with anybody that became a member today or re-upped their membership this morning. And then we'll give a little thanks to all the stickers, and then all the members that I can currently see in chat, since it's a smaller collection today. Big thank you to Jamie for rejoining and upping to become a Star Channel member. That extra bit helps a lot. So Jamie, you're awesome. Elise, thank you as well for joining for the first time. That's everybody from today. Let's look at the super stickers and super chat, and let's see what's going on here. All right, I know I saw a couple, so yes. Thank you, big thank you to Cece, Meek, Sakina, and Ruby. Lots of love to all of you. I appreciate that extra little bit. Again, it helps more than you guys know. And now just a big shout out to existing members in the chat, something that I can do on the monthlies when we only have a few people like we do today. Much love to Renee, to Cece, to Jill, Ruby, if I haven't already said that, Sarika, and Sapo. Yeah, thank you everybody. I might have said a couple names twice, but thank you guys to all my existing members and subscribers, and then also just everybody in chat, because you've gone through the effort of subscribing, and that's the way that I give back. I make everything subscriber only for chat. So thanks to all the rest in chat for being a part of today. All right, I'll see you on the weekend. Have a great month ahead. Have a great weekend. And for those of you that are celebrating a holiday weekend, hopefully you're doing something fun. See you all soon. Again, this was for June. We'll be starting the next round of readings next week. And until I see you again, wishing you all the best. Bye-bye. Thanks.